Blessings. Welcome. My name is Kimberly, and from the lineage of my spiritual father, William Charles Thomas. And I'm here to bring you the lesson 5 of A Course in Miracles. So, welcome to lesson 5. Tonight we'll begin with this section in chapter 1. Section 3, called Atonement and Miracles. This is 2 pages, so bear with me. It's very important. Atonement and Miracles. I am in charge of the process of atonement. This is Yeshua talking, which I undertook to begin. When you offer a miracle to any of my brothers, you do it to yourself and me. The reason you come before me is that I do not need miracles for my own atonement, but I stand at the end in case you fail temporarily. My part in the atonement is the canceling out of all errors that you could not otherwise correct. When you have been restored to the recognition of your original state, you naturally become part of the atonement yourself. As you share my unwillingness to accept error in yourself and others, you must join the great crusade to correct it. Listen to my voice, learn to undo error, and to act to correct it. The power to work miracles belongs to you. I will provide the opportunities to do them, but you must be ready and willing. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability, because conviction comes through accomplishment. The ability is the potential. The achievement is its expression, and the atonement, which is the natural profession of the children of God, is the purpose. Heaven and earth shall pass away means that they will not continue to exist as separate states. So if heaven is within us, and we're here on earth, then that means we will not continue to exist as separate here on earth. My word, which is the resurrection and the life, shall not pass away, because life is eternal. You are the work of God, and His work is wholly lovable and wholly loving. This is how a man must think of himself in his heart, because this is what he is. The forgiven are the means of the atonement. Being filled with spirit, they forgive and return. Those who are released must join in releasing their brothers, for this is the plan of the atonement. Miracles are the way in which minds that serve the Holy Spirit unite with me for salvation, or release all of God's creations. I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately, because I am the atonement. You have a role in the atonement, which I will dictate to you. Ask me which miracles you should perform. This spares you needless effort, because you will be acting under direct communication. The impersonal nature of the miracle is an essential ingredient, because it enables me to direct its application, and under my guidance, miracles lead to the highly personal experience of revelation. A guide does not control, but He does direct, leaving it up to you to follow. Lead us not into temptation means recognize your errors and choose to abandon them by following my guidance. Error cannot really threaten truth, which can always withstand it. Only the error is actually vulnerable. You are free to establish your kingdom where you see fit, but the right choice is inevitable if you remember this. Spirit is a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. Atonement undoes all errors in this respect, and thus uproots the source of fear. Whenever you experience God's reassurances as threat, it is always because you are defending misplaced or misdirected loyalty. When you project this to others, you imprison them, but only to the extent to which you reinforce errors they have already made. This makes them vulnerable to the distortions of others, since their own perception of themselves is distorted. The miracle worker can only bless them, and this undoes their distortions and frees them from prison. You respond to what you perceive, and as you perceive, so shall you behave. The golden rule asks you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This means that the perception of both must be accurate. The golden rule is the rule for appropriate behavior. You cannot behave appropriately unless you perceive correctly. Since you and your neighbor are equal members of one family, and you perceive both, so you will do to both. You should look out from the perception of your own holiness to the holiness of others. Miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. By being united, this mind goes out to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the atonement itself is one, uniting all creations with their Creator. As an expression of what you truly are, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. The mind then naturally welcomes the host within and the stranger without. When you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother. That the miracle may have effects on your brothers that you may not recognize is not your concern. The miracle will always bless you. Miracles you are not asked to perform have not lost their value. They are still expressions of your own state of grace, but the action aspect of the miracle should be controlled by me because of my complete awareness of the whole plan. The impersonal nature of miracle-mindedness ensures your grace, but only I am in a position to know where they can be bestowed. Miracles are selective only in the sense that they are directed towards those who can use them for themselves. Since this makes it inevitable, they will extend them to others. A strong chain of atonement is welded. However, this selectivity takes no account of the magnitude of the miracle itself, because the concept of size exists on a plane that is itself unreal. Since the miracle aims at restoring the awareness of reality, it would not be useful if it were bound by laws that govern the error it aims to correct. And now let's go to James 13 in the Bible, in the scriptures. James 13. Excuse me. James 3, not 13. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. James 3. Out of the same mouth proceed curses and blessings. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Can there spring forth from the same fountain both sweet water and bitter water? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olives? Or the vine figs? Likewise, also salt water cannot be made sweet. Who is wise among you and has training? Let him prove his words by his good deeds in the humbleness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying among you, or strife in your hearts, do not boast and do not lie against the truth. This wisdom does not come from above, but it is earthly, sensual, devilish. For whatever envy and strife are, there is confusion and every sort of evil wherever. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then full of peace, and is gentle, obedient, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by the peacemakers. And now I turn to Ecclesiastes 11. Verse 1 to the end. This is verse 10 verses. So Ecclesiastes 11. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you shall find it many days. After many days, give a portion to 7, and also to 8, for you know not what misfortune shall come upon the earth. If the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree fall toward the south or toward the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it shall be. He who observes the wind shall not sow, and he who regards the clouds shall not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind, and the manner of a woman who is with child, even so you do not know the works of the Lord who makes all. In the morning sow your seed, and in the evening withhold not your hands, for you know not which shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both alike shall be good. Truly, light is sweet, and it is a pleasant thing for the eyes, but much more to those who see the sun. If a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that comes is vanity. Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and it shall be well with you, and walk in the ways of your heart, and in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these things the Lord will bring you into judgment. Therefore, remove anger from your heart, and put away evil from your flesh, for youth and ignorance are vanity. Let's go to lesson 5. Lesson 5. I am never upset for the reason I think. This idea, like the preceding one, can be used with any person, situation, or event you think is causing you pain. Apply it specifically to whatever you believe is the cause of your upset, using the description of the feeling in whatever term seems accurate to you. The upset may seem to be fear, worry, depression, anxiety, anger, hatred, jealousy, or any number of forms, all of which you will be perceived as different, all of which will be perceived as different. This is not true. However, until you learn that form does not matter, each form becomes the proper subject for the exercises of the day. Applying the same idea to each of them separately is the first step in ultimately recognizing they are all the same. When using the idea for today for a specific perceived cause of an upset in any form, use both the name of the form in which you see the upset and the cause which you ascribe to it. For example, I'm not angry at this for the reason I think. I'm not afraid of that for the reason I think. But again, this should not be substituted for practice periods in which you first search your mind for sources of upset in which you believe, and forms of upset which you think resolved. In these exercises, more than in the preceding ones, you may find it hard to be indiscriminate, and to avoid giving greater weight to some subjects than to others. It might help to precede the exercises with the statement, there are no small upsets. They are equally disturbing to my peace of mind. Then examine your mind for whatever is distressing you, regardless of how much or how little you think it is doing so. You may also find yourself less willing to apply today's idea to some perceived sources of upset than to others. If this occurs, think of this first. I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. For the purposes of these exercises, then, I will regard them all as the same. Then search your mind for no more than a minute or so, and try to identify a number of different forms of upset that are disturbing you, regardless of the relative importance you may give them. Apply the idea for today to each of them, using the name of both the source of the upset as you perceive it, and of the feeling as you experience it. Further examples are, I am not worried about such and such for the reason I think. I am not depressed about blank for the reason I think. 3 or 4 times during the day is enough. So you can do this, for example, in the morning when you wake up. If you have a break during the day, that would be the 2nd time. The lunchtime is the 3rd time. And either after dinner, if you do any practices before bed, could be the 4th time. So 3 or 4 times is enough. I am never upset for the reason I think. If you choose to receive this blessing, then just think to yourself, I receive. In the name of Christ Shelah, Spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only Spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. Blessing of the state of grace. In the name of Christ Yeshua. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So until next time, thank you, thank you, thank you. Many blessings.